What up guys, Gozen here, back for another Attack on Titan review. This time, we are looking at chapter 107, and I know I say it like every time, but this was an insane chapter, crazier than the last one, and we got a lot more information about stuff that was hinted at back in the beginning of the manga even. I gotta say, it's almost torture reading these monthly chapters because they end too soon, and I want to just keep reading and find out WTF is going on. But I guess we gotta wait. I can't wait to hear what you guys thought about this chapter. Let me know in the comments, and like always, I'll make an Instagram post and Twitter post at AnimeUproar so you guys can let me know your predictions for what will happen in chapter 108. I'll read over some correct predictions for this chapter at the end of the video, so stay tuned for that. If you're new to this channel, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for more Attack on Titan videos, especially with the third season coming this month. Also, if you enjoy these chapter reviews and want to keep them coming, Warhammer, smash that like button to let me know. Without further ado, let's jump right into this informative chapter. So we start with runaway Eren behind bars, looking like a boss by the way. Hanji is asking him what he's doing. Here's a weird moment. Hanji calls out Eren for telling himself to fight in the mirror. Let me know what you think about this scene. Hanji thinks he wouldn't usually say that to himself, nor would she say that to herself. So is Eren perhaps trying to convince someone else? Are the memories of the Warhammer Titan within him as well? Is he struggling to contain all those memories, including of the attack, founding, and Warhammer Titan in one body? Is he developing multiple personalities like Reiner did? Is he trying to convince himself that what he initially set out to do is still worth it? Definitely let me know what you think. I found it interesting that Hanji seemed to make a big deal about it. Eren is clearly not opening up, and Hanji is having a lot of trouble figuring out how to deal with him. Anyways, Hanji points out that Eren's new hair is amazing, which is definitely true. She also reminisces about how they used to talk about Titans for whole nights. And then I believe Eren mentions that he was certain that there was no need to sacrifice Historia, which foreshadows what we're gonna find out about Historia this chapter. Some of you might have heard, but it's crazy. Then we jump into a flashback from 2 years prior. Yelena comes and is met by the island dwellers. The port that they started when they initially made contact is finished, and Yelena points out that a visitor is coming from the only nation that will be an ally to the Free Eldians. The visitor is from the nation of Hizuru, which is phonetically similar to a name for Japan which translates to Land of the Rising Sun. The guest is the ambassador Kiyomi Azumabito, which is a Japanese name, so clearly this country is the Japan of this world. Azumabito is also a name associated with a samurai and court official of Japan's Nara period, who died in the year 757. If you guys recall, this is the same woman who came to Willy Tyburn's event and covered up when Udo spilled wine on her, while other ambassadors would have probably exploded at Udo for ruining their outfit. Yelena explains that she has unprecedentedly high ties with foreign countries, so she's going to be a very important ally for the Eldians. Mikasa looks shocked when she sees another Asian. Then Yelena asks Mikasa, doesn't she look like your mother, and points out that they are from the same bloodline. Kiyomi makes Mikasa a symbol of 3 swords, making a triangle or an A, and asks if Mikasa has seen it. Mikasa is even more shocked when she sees the symbol. She shows the mark under her bandaged arm and reveals it, to the shock of the ambassador this time. Way back in chapter 5, Mikasa has a flashback where she remembers after her mother gave her that brand, how it hurt. Her mom told her that she would have to pass it down. That day, Mikasa's mom and dad were killed by criminals. Now, after 102 chapters, we finally figure out what this passing reference is about. I've legit wondered about this for so long that I had a mini freak out when we finally discovered it, and I had to even put it on the thumbnail, as you guys probably saw. Anyways, Kiyomi reveals that more than 100 years ago, the Hizuru, who were dressed in what appears to be old Japanese outfits in the flashbacks, were allies of the Eldian Empire. The ancestors of the Azumabito clan, which is Mikasa's and her mom's clan, was the son of the shogun in Hizuru, and he built a friendly and intimate relationship with the Fritz royal family, so they were allowed to stay on Paradise Island. But when King Fritz moved to the island, the Hizuru people came to be seen as traitors. perhaps because their memories could not be erased, and as a result they were deemed a threat. Some members of the clan nonetheless stayed, and now 100 years later, Kiyomi says that she's met one who shares the same blood, referring to Mikasa, and in a crazy revelation, claims that Mikasa is her nation's hope, the fruit of our lost citizens. Apparently, Mikasa is the survivor of the top bloodline in the world. So Mikasa is not only part Ackerman, an elite clan that was infused with special powers using Titan science to become insanely powerful warriors, but she is also part of this top bloodline. She really does have an exceptionally interesting identity. Then Hanji points out that they don't even know the world very well, and Pixie points out that they are nothing but powerless babies in the world beyond the ocean, which is also a good point. Again, emphasizing their lack of technological advancements and complete dependence on Eren. Then we jump to Historia, and she's excited that Mikasa is like them, referring to the Hizuru people, and believes that this might ease the burden that they were all born with, including her, Eren, Mikasa, and the others. Eren smiles, also seeming hopeful. This happy Historia will stand in stark contrast to the one we'll see a couple years later at the end of the chapter, but more on that later. Kiyomi says to Mikasa that the people of Hizuru are waiting for her. She explains that this was a historic day because they could meet. For the first time, Paradise was being treated like its own nation by another nation of the world. Kiyomi says that this historic event could only take place thanks to Zeke. And then we get another piece of information that I speculated about but wasn't sure about until now. Another huge revelation. In the flashback, Zeke reveals that he never told Marley he had royal blood because he was a member of the Eldian Restorationists, saying it had been his father's duty ever since Zeke was born. So Zeke is carrying on his father's duty. Again, this seems to confirm why Zeke says in chapter 83 to Eren that they were both victims of their father, because even though they were so young, Grisha Jaeger placed a ridiculously heavy burden on them both. Then Zeke reveals something that I had guessed at. As a 7-year-old, he realized that the Marley Titan Biology Research Society was extremely close to finding the restorationists that his father was leading, which would have meant Titan hell on Paradise for his parents, the restorationists, his grandparents, and him. So since his parents would have been found out soon, Zeke sold out his parents so that he could help advance the Eldian cause. It might seem weird for a 7-year-old to figure all this out, but keep in mind, Zeke is no ordinary person. He is probably the most intelligent person in Attack on Titan. So, since he's a genius, this was not out of the realm of possibility. Zeke also agreed with his parents that the restoration of the great Eldian Empire was not something that could be achieved by this laughable group of idiots, referring, I believe, to the island dwellers on Paradise. So he killed Eldians on Paradise Island to keep his cover as long as he needed to, so that he could eventually save the Eldians in general. Let me know if you guys believe that Zeke is telling the truth about this. I know some of you still doubt him, and I get that too, since he did kill all those island dwellers after all, including Erwin. Was that really necessary for his plan? Let me know what you think. Zeke then explains that to move the mechanism in 3-dimensional maneuvering gear, a special mineral called Iceburst Stone is required, which is an underground resource exclusive to Paradise. This, by the way, totally reminds me of Sakuradite from Code Geass, a rare mineral that was almost exclusive to Japan and was necessary for making advanced technology operate. Most notably, it was used as the power source for Nightmare frames. There definitely seems to be a clear parallel here, and I gotta say, I definitely didn't see this coming. I don't even remember anything like it being hinted at, except we did learn about the weird crystal cave when the gang was fighting Kenny and Rod Reese. But anyways, the resource serves Zeke well as a bargaining chip. Zeke tells Kiyomi that her nation can become a great country with prospering industry, and she begins to salivate. Now, this scene really threw me off guard, since this woman seems so nice, unlike so many other outsiders, but this scene seems to suggest that all her actions could be a result of her greed for Paradise's resources. Even Mikasa begins thinking that this lady is only using her. So really, it seems like in Attack on Titan, no one can really be trusted. Then she goes on to mention Zeke's plans. The best plan is probably combining all three together, but they break them down into 3 different possibilities. So possibility 1, experiment with the Earth and Rumbling ability to show the world their power. I really want to see this ability, by the way, to see if it will actually work finally. Possibility 2, involve Hizuru and empower Paradise's military, catching it up to the rest of the world. Flattening of the Earth would not be necessary, but it kind of would be because modernization would take 50 years, so the option of flattening the Earth will still be necessary for the protection of the island until then. And possibility 3, the continued possession of the founding Titan and the Titan of royal blood. She drops the bombshell that Zeke needs a successor of the Beast Titan that possesses royal blood so they can work together with Eren and his successors to be able to activate Earthen Rumbling. Before the 13 years are up for the one with royal blood, aka Historia, she will need to raise more to take her place. So my understanding is that Historia will have to become the next Beast Titan, and that she will have to have children with someone and raise them in order to eventually eat her and repeat the process. A hell of a process to be sure. So that Historia from a few years ago, who was so happy that their burdens might finally be lifted, seems to be only getting more burdens to carry, and even more tragic ones. Nevertheless, Historia steps up to the plate and accepts the inheritance of the Beast Titan for the sake of Paradise. Let's give props to how much Historia has grown. She's come from that innocent, kind of shy and clumsy girl in the beginning and grown into a truly great queen who is even willing to sacrifice her life and that of her children for her nation. Let me know if you think she's making the right move or not in the comments. All I know for sure is that she's definitely matured a lot, and almost all of the characters have been forced to do the same because of their circumstances. Man, Isayama better give us some ray of hope in the ending of Attack on Titan, because at this point, things just keep getting bleaker and bleaker. Eren protests to Zeke's plan and says that they should look for other options. Then we jump to the present and Hanji says they still haven't found another option. Hanji wonders why Eren acted alone and endangered Paradise, wondering if he even cares about Historia anymore. Since his actions may have guaranteed an attack from other nations, and to ensure safety they'll need to have access from Earthen Rumbling, which means Historia needs to inherit the Beast Titan and produce more royally blooded successors. Then we seem to get a confirmation that Eren got the Warhammer Titan. Some of you were thinking that Jaws Titan got it. I was pretty sure that Eren got it, although we still didn't see proof. Eren suggests that he does in fact have it and that he can use its powers to get out of the prison whenever he wants, even if it's underground. Eren pretty much points out how him being in a prison is a joke, that they can't kill him or Zeke. They are really powerless to do anything. Then Eren freaks out, grabs Hanji. We see in this scene how much Eren has grown physically and how much taller he is than Hanji now. It's hard to believe he's grown up so much. He screams to her, "Is there another way?" rather than committing Historia to that cruel fate. Hanji has no answer. She just calls Eren a pervert. Can someone explain to me why she does that? I gotta admit, I'm not certain why she does it all. Then we see that Hanji is struggling, thinking that Erwin made a mistake putting her in charge. Then we jump back to Sasha'S grave, where Niccolo is attacked because he appears to be Marleyan, and Marleyans caused these deaths. Niccolo came to pay his respects to Sasha. We got some touching moments here where Niccolo, once cold to the island dwellers, is so devastated over one of them dying and even offers to cook for her family. And we get a funny moment where the father asks if he'll cook for free, worrying that he'll charge them. So you can see some of Sasha's humor coming in from him too. We also get a sad line from Connie saying that it feels like half of him has disappeared after Sasha died, which is just sad. So Isayama is still pulling at her heartstrings over Sasha's death, which makes sense because I'm glad they didn't just skim over the death. It's getting the treatment it should get. Next, we have a scene where Paradise officials are given stolen Titan serums from Yelena and her people. In a pretty unexpected turn, the government officials turn their weapons on Yelena and the rest. Pixie makes it clear that they are not trying to kill Yelena and her people or make them long-term enemies, and wishes that they can overlook their behavior because there's no way they could not keep Zeke a prisoner. Which makes sense. Not only is he immensely valuable for the well-being of the whole nation, he also freaking killed Erwin and so many others. So you can't really blame them for not fully trusting him and his people. Then we get Levi taking Zeke to the Titan Forest with its trees that are usually around 80 meters tall. There's also no rocks around, so that Levi could easily take down Zeke if he tried to escape. Zeke mentions how he'd like Gabby and Falco to see this amazing scene of nature, Then we jump to the imprisoned kids. Gabby, I'll say right off the bat, is not helping her cause at all. So many people hate her in the fan base, and a lot of us thought she would finally open her eyes a bit when she came to Paradise. But nope. She fakes being sick. A guard who was worried about her rushes in to help, and she brutally, and I mean brutally, murders him by smashing his head with a brick. Even Falco remarks that it was brutal. So security is definitely lacking here, but they probably didn't think 2 kids can do anything big in their defense. But anyways, yeah, they get away pretty easily. While they're running away, Falco tries to convince Gabby that there's humanity in the island dwellers and that these people care for her. But she can't believe what Falco is saying and still believes that they are all devils. She clearly hasn't learned anything. I think she's even surpassed Kid Eren in sheer blind rage. Although, she's going through a hard time since she has no idea who she can trust and her whole worldview is falling apart. She can't trust Zeke or anyone else, she says. But still, at this point, it's almost impossible to excuse her behavior and actions and her complete refusal to even hear Falco out. Let me know what you guys are thinking about Gabby's actions and what the 2 of them might do now that they escaped the prison but are still on the island. Then we get a scene of the Marleyan Eldians. Reiner wakes up and is greeted by Peak and Porco and some alcohol. He immediately wonders where Gabby and Falco are, but before Porco and Peak can answer him, we jump to a pregnant Historia in front of a random house far away from civilization. Although it might not be random, it might be where the Reese family has been secluded for generations. A man comes out of the door. We don't see who it is, but he appears to have blonde hair and tells her to come back in and that she should be more careful with her body. Wow. Didn't I say this chapter was crazy? I still can't believe we didn't make any progress with Annie, but so much information revealed and so many things happen. Whose kid do you think it may be? And who do you think is the man with Historia? Clearly, Historia did not escape any of her burdens. In fact, more tragic ones were placed upon her. Make sure to let me know what you think will happen next on the Instagram and Twitter post. And now let's turn to some Instagram and Twitter predictions about this chapter. Halson Terry was right that we got to see Reiner wake up, but he assumed that Porco would have held the Warhammer Titan like many others, and this chapter suggests that that's not the case, although we haven't seen the power actually being used yet, so it's possible, however unlikely, that Porco got the power. Of course, Reiner is worried about Gabby and Porco, and Historia played a big role in this chapter, so nice call there. I'm just gonna call you Just. Just was hoping for a conversation between Eren and Zeke, and I was too, but I'm surprised we still didn't get it. We really need that brotherly bonding time ASAP, but they were right about getting to see Reiner, Peak, and Porco recovering from the battle, as a number of you predicted would happen. Like me, Dugan was hoping Annie would come out of the crystal, but we'll have to keep waiting for that. But he did guess that Eren might be affected by the Warhammer memories, and that definitely might be happening, as I mentioned earlier in the chapter. DJ_Vin6 believed that Zeke would get eaten by Eren and Eren would inherit the royal blood, and these kinds of ideas have been circulating for a while, but I don't think that would work. It seems that there has to be a living royal-blooded Titan for Eren's founding powers to activate, which is why Historia is having kids that can be successors to the Beast Titan, rather than just offering herself to be eaten by Eren after she inherits the power. Over on Twitter, Ghost Stalker hoped to see a little more about Sasha, and we got to see her parents and her friends mourning her one more time. Hikari was right that we got more detail about Zeke's plan, not to mention his past, which I'm psyched we finally got. Lastly, Caster for Life says that he predicts the world explodes and the manga ends in chapter 107. Well, that didn't happen, but maybe it happens in chapter 108. With Isayama, I mean, you clearly never know. Sorry if I didn't get to read your comments this time, but thank you to everyone who commented on posts. Let me know what you think will happen in chapter 108 on Instagram or Twitter, and you may be in the next video. Let me know what you are most looking forward to now. I want to see Eren use the Warhammer Titan powers. I want to know who the father of Historia's child is. I want to see Annie come out already, and I want to see some Titans. I feel like it's been a minute since we've seen some in action. I also want to know more about Mikasa's clan and what being from a top bloodline will mean for her. So that's it for today's video. Thanks so much for watching till the end. I really hope you enjoyed this chapter review, and until next time, see ya, Space Cowboys.